So it seems like every night this week we've been talking about Homeland Security, uh, the CPB, and the agents, the federal agents that were sent to Portland. And I really thought today would not be one of those days. We talked about it yesterday. We kind of got it done. They're deploying to other cities. Let's wait till they hit in Chicago this weekend. We'll cover that. We'll talk about what they've done in Portland. We'll wrap it up. Seemed like last night nothing really happened, so not much to talk about. And I also want to say this. I'm not a supporter of the rioters and the looters. I think if you're doing that, you're very myopic. You are incredibly counterproductive to a message that you're trying to make. And I really just don't think it accomplishes much. Although I do understand the duality between violent protest and nonviolent protest, I completely understand that conversation. And I think there is a conversation to be had about it, but destroying your own community is no way to get your message spread. And so, before I go on with that, though, I also want to say, too, on that note, that's the only narrative we hear. And I have a lot of friends who are independent journalists. I have a lot of contacts in different cities. And one thing that I'm told over and over again is the police violence on not on peaceful protesters hasn't stopped. It's still going, and it's happened almost every night. We used to see these videos just, last month. We would see the cops pushing down an old man. We saw them break a kid's finger. We saw them break a Navy vet's hand, what, Sunday night with a baton, broke his hand. So this is still happening, and it's happening rapidly. And look, if you just want to do the sensationalism of the rioters and the looters, fair enough. But also cover what the cops are doing as well, because that is a form of bootlicking on the media side that they don't cover it, and it's happening. And that's very, very important. As a First Amendment activist, if you will, that is 100% my biggest cause is you can't tell people not to protest. You can't fear them into not protesting. Now, whether that is what they're doing or not, it's up for debate. And that debate gets a little bit more murky with the interview that Chad Wolf, the acting security of DHS, did today on Fox News. And I'll play that for you. We'll probably have to go over it a couple times so you can actually hear what he says when he says it.
Have to take a stand.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching scenes right now of people using sledgehammers. The least of the aggressiveness is the gross graffiti that is just everywhere, all over these buildings. I mean, a message is a message, and a message can be very powerful, but, defacing public property is against the law, correct?
Absolutely. Anytime that you attack a federal facility, such as a courthouse there in Portland, that is a federal crime. Attacking federal police officers, law enforcement officers, which they have done for 52 nights in a row, is a federal crime. And so the department, because we don't have that local support, that local law enforcement support, we are having to go out and proactively arrest individuals. And we need.
See, there, he just said it. He said a couple things. Number one, says he doesn't have the support of the local law enforcement. I think you really get in a conversation about federalism when you talk about a federal agency overriding local law enforcement. I just think that there is something to be said there, and there are definite issues when you start going down that path. It is a slippery slope, my friends. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Because they set the precedent that Donald Trump and the right wing can do this right now, you better believe that Joe Biden will do it next. The left will do it. The right will. It's the same with everything in our society. Cancel culture, no matter what. One side does it, the other side will do it. This is no different. But that wasn't what I was referring to. I'll play it again real quick.
We are having to go out and proactively arrest individuals.
There it is. We are actively having to go out, and we are proactively having to go out and arrest individuals. What does that mean? Proactively arrest individuals. like the Minority Report. I know that's what's trending on Twitter right now. But no, this is just like the case we were talking about yesterday. The kid who was wearing black, who got picked up off the street, kind of like he was being kidnapped, thrown into an unmarked van, taken to a federal building and questioned. That's what it is. It's, I think you're going to do something wrong, so we're going to arrest you. We're going to detain you. That's not law and order. That's just not. And you continue to go down this path, you're not going to like where it ends. None of us will. I understand there's a lot of people who are on the right who are defending this kind of actions right now. I don't know what happened to the libertarians. I don't know what happened to the Second Amendment people. This is exactly what we've talked about. This is those, smoke-filled rooms when you're sitting there debating with your friends, you know, drinking beer, talking. This is when the libertarians and the Second Amendment guys who've been, hanging out with us all this time, and they say things like, "Well, it could happen here," and this is what's going to happen. I thought for sure those guys, and I know we all know them because we all have friends who fall into that category. I thought for sure that's when those guys would. Right now is when they would go, "Hey, we got a fucking problem. This is an issue." They're proactively arresting people. What, for wearing all black? For what? What is the requirements of being arrested by these people proactively? And just so you think, I'll play it again so you can hear it.
The department, because we don't have that local support, that local law enforcement support, we are having to go out and proactively arrest individuals. And we need to do that because we need to hold them accountable. This idea that they can attack federal property and law enforcement.
Yeah, see? And if you pay attention too, it was like what I said last time. It's because they don't have information about the people that they're policing right now, because the local law enforcement doesn't want them there. I don't know how you square this circle if you're a libertarian, if you're someone on the right. This is actually more of a left-wing move than a right-wing move, and uh, it's disturbing. It's very disturbing, especially because we are seeing more and more protests pop up. In fact, a lot of them today that started over economic issues, and these are becoming a big thing, and they're going to get bigger and bigger. The next story is talking about the stimulus update. This is going to lead to more and more protests, I guarantee you. Are we going to have DHS going around and picking people up? Are they going to intimidate us into not protesting? I hate the slippery slope argument. I really do. But I think it's very valid in this situation. And I'm afraid that that is where this is leading. So if you support these guys, you know, you better be happy with the consequences in 6 months. When you're trying to protest about not being funded because you're a cop, because you're a firefighter, you work for the government in some way, you work for the state, and they can't pay you anymore. Your pension's gone. They had to use your pension to just keep police employed. And you want to go out and protest, and now you're being picked up. It's going to happen. It's going to happen if nothing changes. If we continue to let this like authoritarian rule get stronger and bigger with less with less blockades, with less red tape, no regulations, no restrictions on what they're doing, and we continue to act like the economic problem isn't an issue, as we are right now, this is going to happen and get worse and worse. I am curious what your thoughts. Are you a libertarian? Are you a person on the right? I'm really curious why you would support this. Especially, if you want to say, yeah, okay, but this is just in Portland. But we now know they're going to Chicago, and they're going to Chicago, and they're not enforcing. They're worried about gun violence in Chicago. They're worried about outstanding warrants. It has nothing to do with federal buildings in Chicago. What's that about? And by the way, the proactive policing, the proactive arresting, when I actually looked up Chad Wolf and kind of looked into This is a thing he does. This is what he does on the border. Remember when we shot across the border? We hit some Mexicans who were approaching the wall. That's what he called proactive. Proactive policing is what he said. This is a common strain with this dude. So, but I am curious what you think, what side you're on, um, how you feel about these guys, and what's going on with DHS right now.